Okay, here we are with Osmos for iPad. A number of people have been asking for some help with the last few levels in the Odyssey, and so we figured a video tutorial would be the best way to help out. Apologize for the high contrast on these motes. We've got the screen turned up to max brightness and the camera on a setting so that you can actually see the orbit lines, because that's an important aspect of what I want to show you. So I'm going to show the last 5 levels. Start on Solar 4. So you're in these curved paths in these solar levels, and you definitely want to go with the flow. A few taps. Pay attention to your orbit. Keep in mind that you're on a curved path, everything else is on a curved path. Try to figure out where those curved paths meet and do a little adjustment to try to make sure you intersect, and boom. I'm going to explain a little more about how to manage your orbit in this next level, Sabotage. So I'm going to slow down time to really explain this clearly. The speed at which you're traveling strongly affects your orbit. So if I tap behind my mote and speed up a little bit, I'm now in a much larger orbit, or the far side of my orbit grows. If I go out to that outer edge, speed up a little more, now growing again, the far side of my orbit. Now I'm in this large circular orbit. If I slow down by tapping in front of my mote, I can now really bring the inner part of my orbit nice and tight. And so just by playing with my speed, I can really efficiently control where I'm going to end up in the long term and choose what region of orbit I want to be in. So let's go ahead and do this level. The idea here is to get larger than that red mote by causing it to shrink. So if you can slow it down and get it to fall into the sun, you're good to go. So I'll let it catch up a little. Slow down time to really get a precise control over what's happening here. So I'm going to slowly fall into the sun here. I don't plan on falling into the sun, but I just want to drop in front of this red mote. That looks pretty good. And as it gets close, just fire a bunch of mass into it, getting it to slow down. And that's it. It's fallen into the sun. Slow down so that I don't hit the wall. Anyways, I'm going to do this level again another way. This time by reversing the direction of my orbit. What I want to do is brush up against this other mote. It's going to absorb some of my mass, but it's also going to take on the inertia of that mass, moving in the opposite direction. That's good. And that's going to really slow it down, and into the sun it falls. Okay, let's move on. Next level is pure chaos. In this level you just sort of have to work your way up the attractor food chain. Thank goodness for orbit visualization. Really helps you plan your paths. Not working too hard here. Just letting gravity do the work once I've eaten the first few. On we go. So the second to last level is Epicycles, the first Epicycles level, where you're moving in this epicyclic or sort of corkscrew orbit around an outer attractor. Object is to absorb the 3 targets. So I'm already in an orbit with the first target. That's pretty easy to get. That's done. Now I want to break free of that orbit and move on to the next one. So now I'm going to collide with that other attractor. I don't want that. I want to bring my orbit a little further out, so I'm going to speed up. Speed up a bit more. A bit more. That looks good. I'm going to sort of whip around that attractor. And just speed up. Grab that target and move on. Okay, this also looks pretty good. I'm going to whip around that next attractor. There's a lot of ways of doing this level, but this is a quite efficient one. And done. And last but not least, counter rings. I want to get into that inner ring where everything's moving clockwise and start absorbing some of that stuff. So I'm gonna, to bring my orbit in, I'm gonna slow down. Maybe that's a bit too much. Okay, I'm gonna slow down time, sort of watch what's happening here. That's looking good. So you see, as I absorb the motes in this inner ring, I also take on some of their inertia and start moving in sort of the right direction. Alright, I want to make sure I'm not going to leave this orbit. I'm going to slow down a bit, bring that orbit in. Alright, now I'm in a pretty good situation, and this is going to start feeling like a sort of a standard solar level. I just want to absorb a few things in this inner ring. Make sure that my orbit is under control and keeping me inside. So far so good. Wait for a couple of good opportunities. Actually, that looks like a nice one. I'm almost ready to move to that outer ring. The longer you wait to move to that outer ring, the more stuff is gonna... Something just fell in. The more those things are gonna grow. I think it's time to move out. So I'm gonna go for some of these over here. Work my way out. A little more. Okay. Let's zoom in on these collisions. As I absorb some of these motes, I'm going to start moving with that outer ring. Not quite enough fuel to start trying to grab that large one, otherwise it'd be good to go, but I'll grab that other one. That looks nice, and done. Grab that one for good measure. I'm in a nice orbit in this outer ring now, and it's fun to stick around on this level and watch how the different rings interact with each other over time, but for the purposes of the tutorial, we are done. The Odyssey is complete.